House Bill 2063 by Representative Fritz. We have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. I'm more comfortable looking at you than I'm saying.
That's perfectly fine.
That's okay. Yeah. And there's an amendment that makes the bill. It's drafting code 14295.
A motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of putting the amendment on the bill, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment has been put on the bill. You're recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lots of clean air, clean water, and a clean soil discussion, and that's what I'm going to present to you today. This legislation simply amends, adds a new section in the Tennessee Air Quality Act prohibiting the intentional injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus into the atmosphere within the borders of our state for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or the intensity of solar radiation. Growing up, I would have never thought I'd had to come to y'all with a request to pass a law for this, but that is the world we live in. I would, Mr. Chairman, if it suits the committee, I know we have some folks that want to testify. We're running late. If you would.
That'd be great. Without objection, we'll go out of session. And we'll bring our witnesses forward. If you would, please state your name. You each have 3 minutes. Both of you are welcome to come and sit down. Push the little button in front of you. Make sure the red light comes on. And whenever the red light comes on, we'll start the timer. Whenever you start talking, we'll start the timer. But you each have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Dr. Denise Sibley. I'm an internal medicine physician from Johnson City, Tennessee. I've been treating patients for 35 years. I support this bill, and I refer to it as the Atmospheric Protection Act. Several states besides our own, including New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Kentucky, Connecticut, Iowa, and South Dakota, are involved in actions to protect their atmosphere as well. Cloud seeding has been recognized since 1965 in Maryland and 1967 in Pennsylvania, both in our own TCA 58-2-116, which specifically mentions legal weather modification in our state, and in the 44-page White House June 2023 congressionally mandated report regarding the framework for governmental past, present, and future weather modification through solar radiation modification using stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, and cirrus cloud thinning. There's no doubt that weather modification is taking place within our state. These actions of intentional manipulation of the atmosphere produce pollution and unintentional consequences that affect the health of our citizens, the safety of our water supply, our soil viability and crop production, the ecosystem survival, the precipitation extremes with flooding and drought, climate variability and extremes, and disruption of the economy. The spraying of sulfur dioxide is identified as causing acid rain, known to be detrimental to the health of humans, causing respiratory diseases such as asthma and worsening lung disease, as well as acidifying the water supply and soil. In addition, heavy metals have been detected in rainwater samples in Tennessee from 2017 from Clarksville, Tennessee, that contain dangerous substances such as strontium, barium, aluminum, and sulfur. And we are in the process of obtaining new water samples in our area in East Tennessee as well. We do not consent to this experimentation on our atmosphere and our citizens, nor the funding of such activities. We do not consent to the intentional blocking of the sun through the use of particulate aerosols and heavy metals. Blocking the sun would affect our crops with potential famine, deforestation, and blocking of vitamin D production by humans, which is a major determinant of our natural immunity. We do not consent to this unnatural, godlike desire to control the heavens. If we fail to block these actions with legislation by providing our own governance, then we will continue to be manipulated by the federal government and the stakeholders, in quotes, that are not named in the White House report, but they are mentioned. Scientific American in February 2023 also reported on the United Nations, quote, 1 atmosphere global governance for the experimentation and deployment of solar geoengineering and solar radiation modification, which would link all world governments under singular control. I urge you to support our 9th and 10th amendments and to lead the nation as Tennessee forcefully says, no, not in this state. You won't mess with our atmosphere.
We're
Thank
running
you.
out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you so much for all the job that you all do all the time. My name is Dr. David Perry. I've been a licensed healthcare provider in Tennessee for 40 years. This is, as Dr. Sibley stated, a very important issue, particularly when it comes to people's health. And I wanted to echo basically the crop production is a big deal, and it's stated in this congressional mandated research that I believe everyone has a copy of. They mention also the acid, the ocean becoming an acid, type of environment, which would also affect obviously the land. But I wanted to address the vitamin D, and having gone on to PubMed, that's kind of the premier medical hub for information. And so one of their articles dated 2020, insufficient sun exposure has become a real health problem. The article states, studies in the past decade indicate that insufficient sun exposure may be responsible for 340,000 deaths in the United States, 480,000 deaths in Europe, and an incidence of increased amount of breast cancer, colorectal cancer, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's and autism, and also type 1 diabetes. Vitamin D has long been considered a principal mediator of beneficial effects of sun exposure. However, oral vitamin D supplementation has not been convincingly shown to prevent the above conditions. Thus, serum vitamin D as an indicator of health status basically shows that the effects of the sun outweigh basically taking a supplementation, although supplementation is obviously what you do if you can't get enough sun. And basically the article recommends that you at least try to get 5 to 30 minutes of sun exposure a day, and that as we all saw with COVID, vitamin D, selenium, calcium, and all those are key components. Going on to another article from PubMed dated September of 2023, the data strongly suggests that people that are in this state as well as across the United States need a minimum of or more than 50 nanograms per milliliter of vitamin D to prevent viral and bacterial infections, sepsis, and autoimmunity. Basically states further that you've got maintaining such concentrations in 97.5% of the people is achievable through daily safe sun exposure, and that supplements basically are kind of a resort as well, but that you're going to do way better if you have.
Yeah, we're running short on time there. Sorry about that. And also, Representative Fritz, you're on the committee. You're more than welcome to come up and ask questions as well. So just remember that. All right. Do we have any questions? Chairman Halsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. Besides the vitamin D thing, what I've read is there's an increase in heavy metal toxicity in people in this country lately. The only way I know to get rid of that's with the EDTA, IV chelation is the only way I know to get rid of it. But I've always worried about the bee population disappearing. And do you think that this kind of activity, geoengineering, is leading the reason for that?
Yes, sir. I would say that it is absolutely the reason that the honeybees are going away is because of the microcosm that they live in is affected by these aerosols. And basically the sulfur dioxide, the acid rain, it also impacts people with asthma. But yes, to answer your question. Thank you.
Yes.
Do we have any other questions? Chairman Todd?
Thank you. It's been mentioned previously about chemtrails and, a natural occurrence that I've seen since, in my entire lifetime. I think when jets were invented, we started seeing chemtrails. It's a part of the fuel burning process, is my understanding. If you know something different, I'd love to know that. But also, as a follow up to that, or second part of that, which is really the main point, do you know of specific instances, companies, entities that are utilizing this spraying of aerosols in our state right now?
You recognize? Whoever wants to answer it.
Yes, actually, it's mentioned in this report. So NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NASFA, that would be one. The Office of Science and Technology Policy, which is OSTP. There's quite a few of them, actually. They have different planes that go to different heights in the stratosphere. Some are more like a crop dusting plane, and some go very high. But NASA and NOAA are the main ones. They're also academic centers that have their own airplanes as well. So those are the ones I could mention right off the top of my head.
I want to jump in here. Will you refer to the report you're referring to?
Is this congressionally mandated research plan and an initial research governance framework related to solar radiation modification? It was produced by the White House in June of 2023. It's a 44-page document that I believe you were that you got a copy of that. And so I'm referring to everything in there that the stratospheric aerosol injection is talked about very widely in there.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Todd. Go ahead.
I haven't read that report yet, but does it say that this is a practice that it's documented they've done it, or is it a concept that they're discussing in this report?
Excuse me.
You're fine.
Let's
Let's go back and forth.
Yes, Chairman Todd. So they talk about past, present, and future. So I would say that they talk about risk versus risk, climate change versus risk of stratospheric radiation modification, solar radiation modification. And they also talk about modeling. So creating models in situ, that would be in the stratosphere, as well as computer modeling. But they do talk about all of those things, but they talk about past, present, and future.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Representative Fritz, do you have a question for the witnesses? Okay. Seeing no other questions, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sitting through the marathon of the committee we've had this morning as well. You can take your seats back and we'll go right back into session. Question's been called on the bill. Do you have a last statement there, Representative Fritz?
I will take a moment if you don't
Would it
mind.
be okay if I would like to let him make a last statement, then you call question. Okay. Okay. You're right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Shaw. Just there is a widespread documentation of attempts to manage weather and manage climate, manage solar impact upon the earth with chemicals and compounds and apparatus. And simply the bill that you see in front of you today, I wanted to make sure that I say this before we vote, is something that I've worked closely with TDEC to pull together. And I know you've all read this, but it's a really simple one line: the intentional injection, release, or dispersion by any means of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus within the borders of this state into the atmosphere with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or the intensity of sunlight is prohibited. And we just felt like that was a good place to drive the stake in the ground, that not in Tennessee. We're not going to do this. And we worded this, again, with TDEC's help to make sure that we're not impacting legitimate industry within the state. With that,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Fritz. Representative Jones, we'll let you ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing about the bill, Representative Fritz. I just want to Mark, for the record, that I won't be voting for this bill. I looked up and I was trying to research as we were going through this, and it seems like a lot of this is based on conspiracy theories. Most newspapers have said this is a conspiracy theory, and sometimes I'm sitting on this committee and thinking, have we lost reality? I won't be supporting this. I just want to put on the record why. Thank you for explaining it. But if you research any regular news station, they say that this is false. And multiple scientists have come out to say, and pilots have come out to say this is false. So I just can't support your legislation.
Thank you, Representative Fritz. You're recognized.
Thank you, Representative Jones. I appreciate that. Done a little bit more research before coming to committee. You would have seen that the WhiteHouse.gov document is indeed real. And I sometimes think that some things that happen in the White House these days are surreal myself. So I would just offer that I appreciate your comment, but unfortunately, it is a wild thing, but I think it is real. I think that what we've done here is a very measured approach of just saying not in Tennessee. So thank you.